please find page 18 in your notes packet. So maybe pause, find page 18, and then come back. So last class we discussed how to multiply and divide rational expressions. All right, so friendly reminder for dividing, you keep the first fraction, you change the division to multiplication, and then you flip and multiply by the reciprocal. So let's look at this first example under extra practice. So we keep the first fraction, 4x over 5x minus 20. We change division to multiplication, and then we have x squared minus 6x plus 8 up top because we're flipping the fraction over x squared minus 2x. Now this is the exact same as multiplying, so we have to factor before we can cancel. All right, so I have 4x, I can write it as 4 times x if I want, over the common factor here is going to be 5, so factor out a 5, and you have x minus 4 left, times, or we can just extend, times, now factor the numerator, so why don't you pause, factor the numerator and the denominator, and then come back so you can double check. All right, so you should have gotten x minus 4x minus 2, because negative 4 times negative 2 gets us positive 8, and negative 4 plus 2, negative 2 gets us negative 6. And then in the denominator, the common factor is x, and then we are left with x minus 2. Now that we have factored, you can only cancel once you have factored. Now we can cancel x minus 4 cancels with x minus 4, x minus 2 with x minus 2. And then we are left with 4 times 2 up top over 5 times x. And so the final answer is 8 over 5x. Now let's go ahead and look at the next line. So here we're dividing a fraction by a whole number. So we're going to put this over 1. And we're going to rewrite this. We have 2x squared plus 3x minus 5 over 6x times, and then the reciprocal, so 1 over 2x squared plus 5x. Go ahead, pause, and factor each of these, and then come back, and we will cancel and go over it. All right, so when you factor this, you should have gotten 2x plus 5, and then x minus 1. Because 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x, 5 times x is positive 5x, and 5 minus 2 gets us 3x. All right, and then we have times 1, we don't really need that. 6 is 2 times 3, or we could leave that as just 6x, 6 times x, times the common factor over here is x times 2x plus 5. And now that we have factored, and only once we have factored can we cancel. So we have 2x plus 5 cancels with 2x plus 5. So now we are left with x minus 1 over 6x times x, which is x minus 1 over 6x squared. And I cannot cancel this x squared with this x because this x minus 1 is one factor. It can only cancel with another x minus 1. All right, now let's go ahead and look at adding and subtracting. So if I have a over c plus b over c, or like if I have 1/3 plus 5/3, then I would get 6/3, and then I would simplify that to 2. So here I would keep my same denominator of c, and I would have a plus b. If I do not have the same denominator, so let's say I have a over x plus b over y, then I need to find the least common multiple of the denominators. So I'm going to multiply. So y needs an x, in order for it to have the same denominator, and x needs a y, so I'm going to multiply that one by y over y. So then I have a times y over x times y plus bx over xy. And now that the denominators are the same, I can do ay plus bx over xy. So let's look at a few examples. So for example 1, we have the same denominator for all of these, so we don't have to worry too much about this. So same denominator, so we keep the 4x, and I'm going to have 7 plus 3, which gets me 10 over 4x. Now I can factor so that I can cancel. 10 is 2 times 5. 4 is 2 times 2, and then times x. Now that I have factored, I can cancel the 2's. Or you could just simplify the fraction. That's also totally fine. 5 over 2x. That's my answer. Now for the next one, I'm going to have 5x minus x, and I encourage that you write it like this first before just doing the subtraction. And you'll see why when we get to this example down here, over x plus 5. And now I can do 4x over x plus 5. I cannot factor my x plus 5, so that stays together, which means I cannot cancel anything. So now let's look at the next one. So for this, again, this is why I like to rewrite the first step. So I have 2x minus, in parentheses, you have to distribute the negative. This is super important. You have to distribute the negative. That's why I like to rewrite it like this. So then 2x minus 5 minus x, because we are distributing the negative, over x plus 6. Now we're going to combine like terms. So we have x minus 5 over x plus 6. And again, then we factor. I can't factor x minus 5. I can't factor x plus 6. Nothing can cancel. Go ahead and pause now, and please do these 4 problems and then come back. All right, so go ahead and take a moment and go through and check your answers, and then we're going to talk about them. For the first 2, make sure that you have a fraction as your answer, right? Because here, when the 2's cancel, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that is why we're left with a 1 in the numerator, and the 6x is going to stay in the denominator. Same thing with the second example. When the 3's cancel, they divide to 1, which is our numerator, and x squared stays on the bottom. If you always draw the fraction bar first, you're not going to run into the problem of putting things in the wrong location. For the third one, make sure that you distributed the negative. So that's where this negative and negative come from. And then we're combining like terms in the numerator. And again, these are factors, so I cannot cancel these negative 2's. Think about it this way. If you're like, oh, why can I not cancel those? If I had 10 minus 2 divided by 10, that does not equal negative 2, right? Like I cannot cancel the 10's, right? That would get me 8 over 10. Okay, now let's look at the next one. So the next one's actually not done yet. So once we have combined like terms, then we factor so that we can cancel. So I can factor out a 2, and I'm left with x squared plus 1 over x squared plus 1. Now that I have factored, I can cancel. So before you cancel anything, you are factoring. And I am left with 2 over 1, which is 2. You're going to do some more practice on these today. Please stop by with any questions. We will go over this next class. Have a